Hey friends, back up in my studio today, my office, what I typically call my office today, and which is my old illustration studio. And I am here, as you see by the title, to do some value sketches, values studies, and thumbnail sketches. So let me bring you up to date. If you haven't been with me at all this week, I've had a delightful week. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, 4 days in a row, I went out and trespassed on people's private property and didn't get shot one time. Didn't even get shot at one time. I was in the mood. We'll see if the mood passes. I've been in the mood to do big old trees. It's a beautiful time of year in central North Carolina to do big old oak trees and all kinds of trees. So I was in the mood to do big trees and old farms. Those often go together, right? So I took 100 pictures. For just a little while ago, I did the first step, actually second step. First step of design is I'm looking at a scene and I frame the scene in my camera, right? That's design decision number one, right? Design decision number one. What do you take a picture of? How much do you zoom in and so forth? Okay, that was number one. Design decision number two is of the 100 or 150 pictures I took, I pick some and say, yeah, that one's worth working with. So design decision number two is I selected the picture and then I cropped them. On most of these, I boosted the saturation just so I'd have plenty to work with here. And I've reduced it down to 17 images of how many different farms. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, I believe. 8 different farms, 17 different scenes. So a number of decisions have been made. Now, this is, as you can see, scrap watercolor paper that I cut out on the cutting board, just random small pieces. I want it to be small. And then I went ahead and put masking tape, frog tape, 3M masking tape around the edge, so I'll have a nice clean edge, because these will be for sale. $25, something like that. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, look at my photographs, and 17 is way too many, so let me just arbitrarily get rid of that page and look at this page and look for the one image that really calls to me the most. And of course, here's where the big composition decisions start being made, is when I pick a scene and then decide to do a sketch. Whew. Okay, I'm going to go with this one right here. I don't want to waste too much time thinking about it. So now I decided to use the same pencil I've been using for painting. And I need to come up with a composition based on, this is really important, listen to me if you're an artist, based on this photograph, but not, I repeat, not copying this photograph. It's based on this photograph. Huge, huge difference. Probably the biggest mistake most of us make when we're in the process of trying to do a painting is we make ourselves slaves to the photograph. You can't believe, in my painters group that we meet together once a month, how many times over the years when an artist puts their painting up and somebody in the group will say, well, why'd you do this or that? Why'd you do this? And you know the answer is going to come, don't you? The answer is because it was in the photograph. And usually before the person even answers the question, they laugh at themselves, roll their eyes, throw up their hands and say, because it was in the photograph, because they know that that is not a good answer. Wrong answer. I mean, that is truly why they did it, but they now realize, whoops, that was a mistake, wasn't it? And pretty much everybody laughs because everybody's done it. Everybody's done it. It's still probably the most common mistake made by a group of fairly experienced artists. Okay, so I've just made a number of decisions about this I've removed buildings, I've moved buildings, and I've removed buildings and trees. Don't forget moving trees. Now, where to start painting? That is a good question. I have here a tray full of, not full, but a tray of acrylic paints. And I'm going to start by doing some dark lines. Now, a big part, by the way, hats off today to my good friend Mike Rooney. We get together and paint every year for a week and rub each other in a good direction. He's one of the few artists I know who is a full-time artist making their living from art, supporting a family in North Carolina. We have a great time together. So I'm being influenced by him right now in this. I mean, he's not the only one who does it by any means. A lot of people do it, but sometimes you just have to see somebody up close and be influenced by them before it really kicks in. And I watched him do these little quick studies. And if you'll stick with me for a little while, I want to talk about composition, because that's really what this is all about, isn't it? What I'm doing right now, it's really all about composition. And I want to give some very specific how-tos in the realm of composition. I feel like for the last several years, composition has been one of the big growth areas for me. That is to say, I needed to grow in the area of composition, and I have grown somewhat, not nearly as much as I would like. So I'm still pretty focused on the subject, because I feel like it's an area I still need to improve. Let me give you my best take, my best verbiage on the subject of composition real quick. Okay? First of all, everybody knows about the law of thirds, right? Everybody knows that. I'm assuming everybody does. And I'm not even going to repeat it, because if you don't know what it is, Google it. So everybody knows about the law of thirds. That'll get you in the door. That will keep you from getting thrown out, but it won't win you a lot of points, because it's too. First of all, it's not specific enough, and it's too boring. If you simply do the law of thirds, verticals here and horizontals here. See, I'm following it. My horizon is 1/3 from the bottom. But if that's all you do, you're not going to win. It'll keep you from getting kicked out of the game, but it will not win you very many points, if any points. So we have to do something more than just do the law of the thirds. I've spoken quite a bit in my broadcasts about Edgar Payne and his design stems. Edgar Payne, massive plein air painter from the mid 20th century, father of the California School of Plein Air Painting. That's not a literal school. He's just the father of California plein air painting, so to speak, in the mid 20th century. And he has, in his book, Composition of Outdoor Painting, he has a page where he says, he has several pages, where he says, all the good compositions in the world can be reduced down to these 13. There are 13 good compositions in the world, and here they are. And again, if you follow me, go back if you want to look at my Facebook. I've published this list several times. I was so serious, about digesting what he said that I took his 13, turned each one into a letter, and then turned the letters into a sentence. And the sentence is, you ready? These are Edgar Payne's design stems made into letters, and the letters into a sentence. The sentence is NFLTEAMS R, letter R, TOOXL. So the sentence is NFL teams are too extra large. Oh, no, the word R is supplied. Never mind. Take out the letter R. NFL teams are too XL, too extra large. An ironic statement with just enough funny truth in it to help it be memorable. That's as far as I'm going to go describing that. You can find it. Go back on my Facebook a couple months. I publish it periodically to find that acrostic, if you want, and then examples of each of those. Okay, so that's Edgar Payne. So that's one way to approach composition compared to Edgar Payne's 13. If you're working on a composition and it doesn't look like any of Edgar Payne's 13, then you have good reason to scratch your chin and go, maybe this isn't a good composition. Okay? It's not, by no means, his is not the last word, but it's a good word. So, and again, that's as much as I'm going to say about that. Okay, now let's go forward to my good buddy Mike Rooney. And I don't know where he got this. Maybe he made it up. Mike, if you ever hear this, let me know. Did you get it from somebody or did you make this up yourself? And this is what I want to focus on today. It's the stuff I am learning from Mike, which says, you with me? Reduce your image to 3 values: light, dark, and midtone. You with me? Reduce your image to 3 values. Now, understand that when we're talking composition, we are talking about values. We're not talking about color, texture, lines, even shapes. It is large shapes. We're talking about the shapes, yes, large shapes, of your light and dark areas, your major light and dark areas. We're not talking about details. We're talking about big stuff. And that's why doing a sketch like this, by the way, some people call this kind of thing a notan. I believe that's a Japanese word, notan, which is basically a 2 or 3 value sketch. So if you like using fancy Japanese words, knock yourself out. Go for it. But it's basically reducing your image to 3 values. Okay, that part, so far so good. You with me? Now, those 3 values, I'm going to keep spraying this acrylic over here, so hopefully I can use it, much of the day without it drying up. Those 3 values should lay out in your composition in such a way that all of your, I'm going to say it the wrong way first, so bear with me. All of your midtones touch each other, all of your light areas touch each other, and all of your dark areas touch each other. Now, bear with me. That's not quite correct, but I wanted to say it that way first. I want to start there, and then I'm going to correct it. Okay, let me repeat that, though. All of your midtones should be connected. All of your light tones should be connected. And all of your dark tones should be connected. Now, let me correct that statement. somewhat. It is this. And again, this is what I got from Mike Rooney. And Mike, if you got it from somebody else, doesn't matter. I got it from you. Let me know if you want to where you got it from. Well, I'm nearly done. Now, let me correct it. I just said all of your light areas should touch, all of your dark areas should touch, and all of your midtones should touch. Now, that's not quite correct. Let me correct it. 2 of the 3 should touch. In other words, either all your midtones and all your lights should touch, and your dark areas can be higgledy-piggledy, freckle face. Or all of your dark areas and all of your midtones should connect, and your lights can be higgledy-piggledy, freckle face, dotty. Or, what's the other one that's left? All of your lights and all of your darks and your midtones can be higgledy-piggledy. I don't know where I got that word. It sounds like a good one today. Are you with me? So 2 of the 3, here, now I'm speaking the truth. Now it's accurate. 2 of the 3 should be contiguous is the word. Those of us who live in the United States, we know what the word contiguous means, because whenever we describe the United States, we talk about the contiguous states. That is to say, the ones that are connected and touching. Whoops, my phone's ringing. And I'm not going to get that. Okay, are we still here? Whoops, I could change this a little bit, shouldn't I? There we go. I think you're still with me. I will put on Do Not Disturb in just a little while. So I'm here drawing away. I'm just drawing at this point. All I'm doing is drawing. Now, in a minute, though, I'm going to pause and say, am I following this rule? Have I accomplished what I'm calling Mike Rooney's law of composition? Mike, I should find out. I need to give you a call and find out if you made this up or if somebody else made it up. My guess is he got it from somebody and modified it for his own use. That's what most creative people do, right? We hear stuff and then we like I did with the Edgar Payne stuff. I got it from him, but then I modified it a good bit for my own purposes. Okay, there's a little sketch. Now let's take a look. 2 of the 3. First of all, I have midtones, which is, in this case, is the sky and the distant trees and some of this down here. Now, you understand that this area down here, you have to ask, is that a light area or a dark area? Is that a midtone or a light or dark? And the answer is it's hard to say because it is not a solid mass. I'm actually going to come in here and add a little bit more light here. There we go. I want a little bit of a curve going. There's a dirt road going into the scene. Okay, but let's start with what's obvious. What is obvious is that the sky is a midtone, and that's unusual because very often, of course, the sky is the lightest thing in your scene. So if I painted this, I would be indicating maybe a stormy sky with sun hitting the foreground. A little bit unusual, but not extraordinary. Midtones. And the sides of this house, roofs, all the roofs are midtones. So I think, and even the trees are mid. The trees, by the way, don't count as design elements when we're talking composition because they are not major light and dark areas. Are you with me? That's really important. I'm hoping you're understanding. So the trees, even though they're a significant part of the picture, they don't really count because when you squint, they almost disappear. So you just eliminate those. This is all midtone. And I think I've succeeded in my midtones are all connected. And my lights are all connected except for this roof. Which that would suggest to me. Now, okay, so my midtones are connected. My lights, which includes pretty much all this foreground plus the sides of these buildings, are all connected. And my darks are definitely not connected. Dark, 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 and some dark here. So, okay, that's it. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope it was instructive. There's my first sketch. I don't know how much of that you missed. Again, my YouTube turned off on me. And but all the let me review just in case you missed it. All the midtones are touching. All the light tones are touching. And the dark tones, the dark details are Freckleface, higgledy-piggledy. And that's, according to Mike Rooney, possibly a good composition. Okay? Thanks for watching. I'll be back later on today with the next Notan sketch.